And welcome to another edition of Mailbag. And like in the previous set of mailbags, I'm recording a single header for many answers that you guys have left on the channel, and there is a lot to go through this evening. So before we get going, remember these are mailbag questions and comments that you guys leave on the channel that are well worth actually sharing with the wider community. But before we start, we always go through parish notices, which are, if you haven't subscribed to the channel, why not? Hit the subscribe icon. If you want to be notified about when videos hit the channel about things like this thing that's just off shop, which is the Isla 2400, that's the bell icon. If you like the contents of the video you're just about to watch, you know what, please give it a thumbs up. It really helps the video on the YouTube algorithm. Also, leave comments down below. I do read them, I respond to them, and that's the reason why we're having this mailbag conversation now. And finally, for less than the price of a cup of coffee, consider supporting the channel by becoming a member of the TMTG community. The address is down below, as are the Instagram and Facebook tags where the normal channel notices are posted. But now back to this particular mailbag. This next one comes from Sean Curran. In response to old equipment, poor aesthetics, V80FD prototype, steps to update Oasis engines. Video I did in January 2021. And Sean writes, that was an interesting angle on new versus old equipment. As I am more of a pragmatist for new equipment, it is about reliability, functionality and cost. This is the first time I've really stopped to think about the aesthetics of new equipment versus old. If we consider reissues, well, they should look the same or similar. However, they come with fresh paint and sometimes new colours, e.g. Behringer TD3. For Korg's monopoly, the ARP 2600 of the Odyssey, they simply took a look clean without 50 years of use. They do actually look not quite nice. Mind you, having said that, the ARP on the Odyssey I probably would never use. Anyway, for modern keyboards using a virtual modelling in software, well, I agree they couldn't look more modern than their legacy counterparts, supporting LED lights, large LCD screens and surrounded in space age looking cases, aka the Korg Nautilus. For reimagined equipment like the Roland Jupiter X (M), the System 1, the System 8, the TRS, the TR8S, the DSI synths, Korg's Monologue and Isla's 2400, we have a modern looking synth with just enough retro look to capture the vibe. Excuse me. To be honest, while we are musicians, part of our craft is visual element of our performances, so looking good is important, oddly enough, for also those who don't gig. It has been said that the inspiration productivity is directly related to how you work in your environment, e.g. the studio looks good. So he is right. Aesthetics is an important element when choosing equipment, and we, even pragmatists, consider looks even if we don't admit it. A very cool perspective and a way I never stopped to really consider. Thanks for a great video. Cheers, Sean. Very short answer really on this one, because I thought it was just worth reading out because it's somebody else's view on old versus new and what things look like. I have to be honest, I love your view on equipment, and it's very similar to mine. You know, I am the pragmatist. I buy the reimagined stuff, but it also has to look good and it has to function as well. And it's very true that sometimes when you're looking at equipment that is not visually inspiring, there is a question that does it inspire you? I don't know the answer. Well, I do know the answer because I wouldn't buy it. Okay, this next one comes from Sean Curran. In response to an old PC that has been acquired and DX7 screening SMR I did in July 2018, and it took me a long time to get that old PC working properly. Anyway, Sean writes, hi John, our paths cross again as I've too been fighting the USB floppy drive issues when dumping Rolodesk libraries to DS diskettes. Well, I came to the same conclusion as you and Bruce pointed out. I just got my hands on an Ensoniq EPS16 to prove to the world and you the keybed is better than my D20. LOL. We've been having a running conversation about which keybed is better. And I said many times, I think, on the channel that my EPS has had a very, very hard life before it came to me. So I've been staring at the please insert disk screen for 2 days and I'm ready to fix the ISO to floppy disk issue with my PC. I started looking at a refurbished Dell XP Windows machine, so I checked the channel community and sure enough you'd been there and done that. That's why your channel is so great, my friend. You know, where I can add value to somebody's workflow, then that's good. And thank you very much. I do look forward to your keybed review, and in fact, actually, I'll be honest, I've got Sean's keybed review, which I will actually. He didn't actually put it in on the channel. He emailed direct. We've had an email backwards and forwards about it, so I will actually record that quite slightly separately. Anyway. As I said, you know, just a minute ago, my EPS has seen a pretty hard life before I acquired it, so that could be why my view is more tailored toward the D20 than the EPS. And it took me a long time for me to work out how to save disks I acquired into a format that they could be stored and replicated as I need it. So those of you who don't know, and if you've seen this for the first time, I actually have a disk library. I mean, I have a sound library of disks for legacy machines that probably is starting to become enviable. I've got discs for the EPS, I've got discs for the Korg T1, I've got discs for the D20, I've got discs for the DX7, I've got discs for the S-series samplers. Trying to think what else I've got discs for. I've got discs for the TX16W. I've probably got discs for other stuff as well, and I just can't. Oh, SY85, SY77. I've got sound library discs for all of those platforms now, and it's getting bigger all the time. And one of the biggest problems I had with that is it really took a long time to get the wacky format set up on the machine to actually make them so that they could be saved and re-imaged when a disk failed. And you know, bearing in mind these disks are getting old now. The originals are all stored, and they're all in storage, and they're all in boxes. They've all got damp crystals and what have you in the boxes, although they don't tend to need them very much. But they are all away in storage, and the whole idea is that I never have to go and use those disks again. I can just run off a re-image from the disk library. That's the idea. Now, USB drives score a blank where you end up having with an old operating system or old hardware. And that kind of is where the problem with a lot of this stuff is. People will flog your USB drives, but if you want to get new sounds onto the USB disks from somewhere else, it really is a pain. And I just concluded that I couldn't be bothered with that. Plus the fact I like to be able to flick through the disks to find the sound disk I'm after. But that's just me. I'm old school.